Today on Do It Yourself, I have a real nice video for you to show you some tips and tricks for troubleshooting the starting system on this John Deere Gator. I have this John Deere Gator 4x2, and it's I don't know what year it is, but it's got starting problems. Basically, no start, not even a click, right? So the starter is located right here. The solenoid's on top there. This will be the solenoid. This will be the starter. It's fairly easy to get at on this engine compared to a lot of others, although it is not easy. Anyway, a little bit about how this works. The power comes in here from the battery on this main lead, and then this is the ground lead on the solenoid. It's grounded with a heavy copper wire right to the ground. Here is the ground for the battery for the whole system on the whole machine. Right here. I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to disconnect at the battery to work on this. And then the solenoid body is kept in place with these two smaller metric screws back here. How this works, when you turn on the ignition switch, power should come into this lead here, and that energizes the coil, electrical coil inside the case here, and that causes the electromag to move a shaft, and the shaft moves and it has a contact at the end which connects these two poles, and that sends current to the starter. At the same time as that shaft moves, it also uses a linkage to engage the starter gear. The small gear that slides along the starter will engage with the ring gear here at the same time that this connection is made. So if there is not power coming in to this, when you engage the ignition switch into the start position, then you know something is wrong either with your switch or with a neutral safety switch. So all these machines have sometimes more than one neutral safety switch. When you turn the ignition switch to the on position, it sends power to the coil to start the engine. It doesn't send power to the starter until you go to the start position. There's not even a click. There's nothing. So you can mess with the neutral safety here and try and, if there's a faulty neutral safety switch, sometimes you can get it to go. There might be a neutral safety switch on the brake mechanism. Not getting any. There might be a neutral safety switch back here. Here's the shaft. It's in neutral right now. I think this might be the neutral safety switch back here. So if we need to test that, we can pull that off and test that. We can also eliminate it from the circuit. And then there might be another neutral safety switch on the brake. And the brake goes back through a linkage back in there by that oily, greasy mess back in there. And that might be where there's another neutral safety switch. But we're not going to worry about that. I got a better plan. You can test for power coming to the solenoid with a simple 12-volt test light like this. I'm just going to pull the wire on the solenoid right here, connect the test light up to it, turn the ignition switch to the start position, and then that should light. It should not be lit when the switch is in the off position. I've got the test light connected to a ground right there, and then I've got it plugged into that wire from the switch. So when I turn this to the on position, to start position, you get a light. So we know that power is coming to the solenoid. So it's not a problem with the neutral safety switches or the switch. Power is coming there like it should. It's a problem either with the solenoid or the starter. Incidentally, you should also, while you're at it, check right here to make sure you have power coming from your battery. You don't have faulty battery connections. I've already tested that by turning the headlights on and off, so I know I don't have bad battery connections. So that's lighting there, and it's not lighting here, so it's disconnected. The switch inside the solenoid that connects these two up is disconnected properly like it should be. So I think that's all right. before I take it off, another test you can do is you can jump between this terminal and that terminal to send power and bypass the switch inside the solenoid. So this sends power from the battery right to ground, and the starter turns. Starter turns just fine. Probably nothing wrong with the starter. So I'm going to take this apart. It's always a good idea before you proceed to disconnect the battery. I'm disconnecting the negative battery terminal here. This happens to be a 3/8 inch. I'm taking these connectors off here. This is a 9/16. This is the power from the battery, which isn't live right now. The ground is disconnected, and this is the ground and for the starter and the solenoid. And I'll just pull those off. Now I'm taking these two bolts out that hold the solenoid in. That's a 10 millimeter. I got those two nuts off there. So now to get this out, I have to free up this connector here. Get this off this, and this extends just a little bit to get off the terminal here. And then once I get this off, this solenoid should come back. Now I have to lift up on it. I bring it back and then lift up on it a little bit because there's a shaft in here that has a notch in it and engages with the linkage. So you have to lift up and lift it out of that fork. It's kind of like a fork in there. So once I get, there's also a rubber seal there too, and that's going to come hard. There it is. And that's the shaft. Now I can bench test this solenoid. I got this test lead connected up to the negative ground on this battery, this 12-volt battery. This is a 12-volt solenoid, so you have to use a 12-volt battery. It's connected to that lead right there where the solenoid was grounded before. So now if I apply power to this little tab down here, that would simulate turning on the ignition switch. And when I do that, that should activate. So if I apply power to this little tab here, which is from the ignition switch, when power is coming in there, that should activate. And it does. It's working just fine. So then we're looking at a situation where the solenoid is good, and the solenoid wants to move, but it can't. It can't move this mechanism here to engage the starter. And why that is, either it's not powerful enough to move this, or this is jammed somehow. So I think it's now become a starter issue because this housing is all one with the starter. There is one starter mounting bolt right here. You can almost touch it so you can get at it. And there's another one around the side of the case down here. I think I can get blind. But in order to get the starter out, I think the starter has to move backward because there's a fitting that goes inside. So in order to bring it backward, so I got that tube out, and there was an electrical connection in addition to the tube. Be mindful of, that's right, because it's right there. So I have to remember to hook that up again. And I stuffed a shop cloth in here just to protect debris from falling into the hole, into the crankshaft. So I got the bolts off the starter. That was under, it was 12 millimeter, and they were tighter than tight. So now I think if I just wiggle it a little bit and lift up on it, I think I'm going to be in luck. There she's coming out, and I can bring it out this side. So here we are, and you know that little fork I was telling you about, it's right here. That's where the solenoid shaft engages with. So normally it's in that position. Now when that solenoid is activated, it's in that position. And what that does is that moves the starter gear into engage, just like that. And it's got tapered teeth, but it's not lubricated very well. In fact, the shaft is dry right there. So I'm going to replace the starter. That'd be a couple hundred probably, and 3 days minimum. But I'm going to try lubricating it and see where we get from there. Let's check out the ring gear. The ring gear is right in that hole there, and you can't see a thing without some light on it. Let's see if we can get some light on it. There we go. And you can see the ring gear is battered a little bit. I don't see any teeth missing, which is not our problem, I think. I think that might be okay, but I'm going to try to file a little bit on the teeth, clean them, and oil them, and put it all back together and see if it's any better. So I lubricated it a little bit, put some grease on the pinion gear, and now I've got it stuck back in there. Went in there real nice. I got the top bolt started. If I can get this bottom bolt started, I can just get 2 fingers on it. So I will mount that and put the solenoid back on. So now I got both screws tight. I've got both screws started, and now I'm just going to snug them up a little bit here. I don't know if I can put 10 foot-pounds on there. This one back here, it's hard to get at. I can get at that. I got it out through here so I can get at it back there. I put the box end of a 12-point socket on there, and then I can get pretty close to maybe 8 foot-pounds on it. I don't know if I'll have them as tight as they were. There, now we got that snugged in, and the flange is all nice and square right there. So it should be on there right. Now we're gonna put the rest of it together. So for this dipstick, I put a drop of oil on that O-ring right there. It goes in a little better. And I pulled the temporary rag out of there, and I'll lower that in. And then that bolts right there. And don't forget the little electrical connector. That was right back here. That should be in that hole also. And with a flashlight, I can see right through there that little electrical connector is in there. You see it? It's right behind the support bracket for the dipstick tube. Now to put the solenoid in, you have to engage the forks right there on the gear mechanism. So to do that, I'll lower it from the top at an angle, engage the forks, and then put it in the rest of the way. And by the way, this has to be down. This is the ground. Let's see how it's mounted. It's connected to the body there, and this is going to be the positive. And then in this case, my ignition wire is down. It doesn't always have to be that way, but as long as this one that's grounded is the one that's attached to the ground wire. So this would come in this way. Now, let's see how I'm gonna move that up at an angle. And then I'm gonna get that into that fork and see how this has got that bolt, that cap screw has room there. So I can bring that in, engage the fork, and then move it into position, and then I can get this rubber boot to go in just like that. and I know I've got the fork because I'll double check that. I can use two hands. There, I just, and it won't go in if it's not engaged properly. So now it's gonna snug up here until it touches, the rubber boot goes in, and now I can put those nuts on. This ground wire, this copper woven ground wire goes right on the lower terminal there. And I got a nice stainless washer. Goes right up against it. I think I added that. I don't think that came with the kit. And there's a little gold-plated lock washer that goes on there. And then I'll put the gold-plated nut on here. All the good it'll do. And then on this upper one here, remember to put, there's two leads here. There's the small lead, which has fallen away. There's the small lead, which powers the rest of the vehicle. And then the lead here that powers the starter. And that has a lock washer and a nut also. And that's the easiest part. Okay, I got the negative battery terminal reconnected right there. Got everything in there like it should be. We got lights, we got power. Let's see if we got any action now. Nope. So now it's finally stopped raining, and now in conclusion, there's another problem with this, and that is that the battery is not holding its charge. So I thought the battery was okay because it was the headlights were bright, but it's not holding its charge well enough. So I'm going to check into that. Not only would the old battery not hold its charge, it wouldn't charge up completely to 12 volts. So I have decided to replace it. Replace it with this nice unit here, 350 cold cranking amps. It's a tractor, garden tractor battery, and I've already got it connected. I'm gonna try it today. Holy cow, it cranks. So I need a little choke. Choke is down here. It's a spring-loaded choke. Great. So I'll have to choke it to get it started, but it is working very well. Sounds good. I think the starter's okay. I left the battery overnight, and I'm going to check the next day to make sure there was no drain on the battery while I was sitting. Well, I got my charger hooked up here. I got my tester hooked up here. I'm just going to connect to the positive here. And good. I got just a little over 12 volts. So nothing's draining. It's not draining the battery overnight. So we should be good to go. So now we're back in business. We got a working machine. Starts reliably, and we're on the road again. Okay, see you next time. This has been Tim the Toolman for Do It Yourself.